Washington. The dramatic intensification of the Russia investigation on Monday reignited President Donald Trump's fury at the controversy clouding his presidency, prompting his aides to urgently advise him against lashing out at special counsel Robert Mueller as they work to revive a halting policy agenda. Watching the developments unfold on the large television screens installed in his private residence, Trump was seething, according to a Republican close to the White House. The indictments on Monday of campaign aides Paul Manafort and Rick Gates weren't a surprise to Trump, according to people who have spoken with the president. Trump has long assumed that members of his presidential campaign would be swept up in Mueller's probe. The revelation that another campaign advisor, George Papadopoulos, pleaded guilty to making false statements to the FBI was far less expected, the sources said. And the assumption that Papadopoulos is cooperating with the FBI's Russia probe stirred even more unease among Trump's allies. Even as the White House sought to downplay the developments, the charges only served to fuel questions about Trump's ties to Russia, which he has angrily denied and worked to discredit. A question Trump asked on Twitter, punctuated by 5 question marks, offered the clearest window into his mindset. But why aren't Crooked Hillary and the Dems the focus? The president's attempt to change the subject was complicated by the highly detailed indictments of his 2 former aides, which painted Manafort as a well-compensated broker of pro-Russian interests. It was complicated even more by the unveiling of a guilty plea from a third advisor who had repeated contacts with officials close to the Kremlin, the clearest connection so far between the Trump campaign and Russia. As revelations from the Russia investigation rocked Washington on Monday, Trump spent much of the day hunkered down, surrounded by only a handful of aides in the third-story living quarters of the White House. Huddled with members of his legal team, including Ty Cobb, his in-house lawyer focused on the Mueller probe, John Dowd, an outside legal advisor, and Jay Sekulow, who called into the White House from his base in Nashville. Trump was bolstered by the sense among his team that the charges against Manafort bore only the loosest connections to the presidential campaign. He griped that Manafort's role on his campaign had taken outsized importance in the media, and insisted his former chairman played only a minor role. Senior aides, according to a senior White House official, expected Mueller to target top members of Trump's campaign team like Manafort, but the addition of Papadopoulos surprised the president. The president is going, "Really, this is the guy?" a senior White House official said in describing Trump's reaction to Papadopoulos' guilty plea. As the morning carried on, however, Trump grew increasingly frustrated as he viewed cable news coverage of his one-time campaign chairman arriving at the FBI field office in downtown Washington, believing his former aides' roles were being inflated. The West Wing suddenly was back in full combat mode, with an internal tug-of-war emerging over how aggressively Trump should seek to discredit Mueller and his investigation. Even as White House lawyers urged the president to avoid directly criticizing Mueller, other advisors, including his former chief strategist Steve Bannon, suggested he aggressively push back. Cobb, a White House lawyer, has been a leading voice inside the West Wing to urge cooperation with Mueller's investigation. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has reinforced that argument inside the administration. Both have told Trump that providing Mueller with information, including, potentially, an interview with the president himself, would allow the investigation to reach a conclusion quicker. Their recommendations have gone beyond simply cooperation, however. Cobb and Kelly have both warned Trump that spouting off on Mueller on Twitter or during friendly interviews on Fox News would backfire badly. For the past several months, Trump has largely followed that advice. But as word of indictments emerged late last week, other members of his team, both West Wing aides and informal advisors, have said that Trump's kid gloves approach to Mueller has yielded no results. Bannon, who was dismissed in August, has told associates that Trump's legal team is steering the president in the wrong direction, and has suggested a more combative approach to Mueller, according to administration officials. A source familiar with Bannon's thinking tells CNN that he is urging the president to start to fight back aggressively against Mueller. He wants the White House to get Republicans to cut funding, publicly debate Mueller's mandate and slow down document production in court. But so far there is no evidence that Trump is willing to change course, and several Republicans